I met up with Richa Kedia at her exhibition in Bikaner House, Delhi.
And tell me, Richa, how did you choose to be in this line? You are a very creative person. There's so many other things you could have done, but you've chosen to be near protection of environment.
And art and nature both were a passion. And growing up in Delhi, I grew up in Basantpur. So the whole area which now has the walls that used to be a kind of ridge area, and that's where I used to trek as a child. That was my fondest thing. And like over the weekends, my father and my sister and I we would go there and we basically trek, we collect mica. There were those dungeons or caves or whatever. I used to go inside. There would be snakes. So that is basically my fondest memories from childhood. And later on, they built those malls there, and that the entire area is malls. So I think growing up in Delhi, you have something which is very beautiful and which is taken away from you in an instant. So you realize that nature is beautiful, but we can again use it in an instant. And hence anyways, nature and art both were a passion. So I always did that on the side, like I did chemical engineering, then I worked in the corporate world for about 10 years, but I was always doing art only over the weekend. I was at attend nature walks, etc. because I could never stay away from these two things. So as I'll be working Monday to Friday, but Saturday, Sunday, whenever I got time, I'll be spending time with nature and art only. Ultimately, I did not want this to be as my weekend activity, so I quit my job and thought I'll try if I can, make something out of it. But when I did that, there was no looking back. I basically initially had the thought that I'll give myself a year's time. Ultimately, it might just be a sabbatical and I can go back to my job if it doesn't work out. But fortunately, it did work out. I think destiny had this in store for me. So now it's been almost 9 years. I've been doing this full time. There is no looking back. And I love what I do each day. So I paint wildlife, and I think art has this whole thing that it expresses beauty. And normally my process is that I usually work a lot with forest departments, WWF, other agencies. I try to depict the whole ecosystem, trees, birds, insects, mammals, snakes, reptiles, everything which form a part of the ecosystem, because every part plays a very key role there. And I try to depict it in different formats. It can be books, brochures, maps, etc. And that depends on the project that I'm working on. And so that people can understand wildlife better. If you don't understand, if you don't love something, you will never protect it. So that I think is my key role, and hence I go to forests a lot, try to understand that before I start depicting it. And we are very fortunate in India that we are very biodiverse even today. And every state has its own biodiversity, and I really love to go there, visit it, study it. So I have a field sketchbook, many field sketchbooks, which I always carry around with me. I used to have a camera, body lens and all. Now I normally don't carry it because I prefer carrying my sketchbook along and a monocular or a wording scope, so that I get enough time for sketching. And after that, if something, whatever impresses me, I try and come back and then depict that on canvas or on paper on a larger scale, so that I can bring that again to people in a different format. This is starting from Jodhpur. I have I did all these botanical art sketch workshop there. So we studied all these trees of Jodhpur. This is now Bhitarkanika, Odisha. So these are all mangroves. Where I love mangroves anyway. So I was studying the trees there. So I have this concept in mind. I'll come up with a book on mangroves, trees sometime. But as of now, I did the study while I was there.
These are mangroves of
Odisha.
Odisha.
Bhitarkanika.
Bhitarkanika. Okay.
So Bhitarkanika is actually more diverse than Sundarbans. The tree diversity is even more. So these are all those. This is now Andhra Pradesh. This is Eastern Ghats, Araku Valley. So, and yeah, this is now Jodhpur. So this is Khichan, and like these are domicile cranes. And based on these sketches and some photographs I took, that's when I made the middle painting there, which is of. And basically, yeah, this was the reference. So if you can see, this is the exact spot. And then and these are basically some sketches which I did of cranes also. So then I had this is a kankedi tree which I find very interesting.
What's interesting about that tree?
I don't know, just the shape
shape.
itself, and even the colors are very, like, it has a very green and but like the flowers, this is fluorescence, inflorescence, but the flowers and I mean, most Aravali trees are not huge, they're not in your face kinds, it just kind of mixes with the leaves on it. So leaves are also tiny, the flowers are also tiny, so it kind of merge, like, so that's what you have, a pink and a green which is mixed. So this is actually both the flowers and the leaves together, because they're both like tiny in size, but and I think they just emerge from the tree like that. So as in, that's how I try to depict it also. Like it's just, yeah, they're just merging with each other. So very subtle. Like I think Aravali trees, that's one feature I find very interesting. That they're very subtle. Like nothing about them is in your face. Like the green is also very subtle. The flowers are generally very small. So yeah, you might even miss them if you're not carefully looking. So yeah, this is then Vela Vadar in Gujarat. So yeah, this is Uttarakhand. This is a frog which I found. There is this owl. This is also Uttarakhand. ये बनाल in Chopta. This is Gurgaon flamingo. ये Bharatpur. This is Chambal. Chambal I have to paint. I mean, but I have the sketches, so sometime I'll develop them in a big painting. So this is now Kaziranga. Or Manas actually to begin with. This is Kaziranga. That was Manas. Yeah, this is Kaziranga Orchid Park. They have a beautiful orchid park, so as in I just sat there and sketched whatever I could. This is Nameri. This is now Arunachal. And so this is what I found very interesting about Arunachal, the whole moss hanging from the trees. So like every tree that you look at has this moss thing. So this is what I have used and depicted over here also in the hornbill painting, because that's what I found very interesting about Northeast. Like most of the forests in central India are dry, or I mean even in monsoon they're green, but they don't have this kind of foliage, like this whole the moss hanging from the tree like this. This is very typical of the Northeast. Only in Assam now, which also two parks like Nameri and Dakin Patkai. So only two parks you find this. And so this was like essentially to tell people about the bird, which targets people from I think very young age to adults. So that's why as in it's more on a like easy manner. So very simple, cartoonish kind of illustration. So basically tells you everything about it, like why the name, the Assamese name, and it's so on and so forth about everything, like so scientific name, English name, and its airy features.
This is the same as the white-winged duck?
Yeah, so that's what I think the name was this, that some scientists have shortened the name, they remove wood duck from it,
Okay.
but then I think there are other scientists which argue that wood duck is very important because this one actually spends more time in the woods than in the pond. Because when you say just duck, then everyone like just thinks of wetlands. So this is a very shy species. It's found only in the evergreen forest, and that's the reason for its disappearance also. Because the evergreen forest, if you disturb it even a bit, it will fly off. Like human presence, as in I think that's why most people can't even spot it, because if it just detects you, it'll fly off. It's that shy, so you have to watch it from a distance. You basically have to be covered so that it doesn't spot you at all. That's when it comes, and it's also it's active at twilight, like so early morning and late evening. During the day, it's always sitting on one of the trees, and the evergreen forest is very dense foliage, so you will never be able to spot where it's sitting during the day. So only at twilight you can see it. So you actually have to wait for twilight for it to appear. And but yeah, if it sees you, it'll run away again. So that's what it's very shy bird, and it nests also on trees. So that's what I think maximum part of its life it spends on trees. So that's why wood duck is very important. When you say white-winged duck, it sounds like any other duck, which it's not. So I mentioned this also there. So this is the global distribution also. That's why only these two parks in Assam is where it's found in India now. And yeah, this is again about Namiri, and yeah, that's what its habitat, etc. So basically that's what every aspect of it we try to cover over here. In the background I've shown forest and also forest fire, because for me forest fire is a huge concern in the mountains, specifically in the summer, wherein most of the pine forest burn, usually because of human interference. But yeah, I think every summer you hear of some of the other forests which is burning for days, etc. So that's what I've shown, the forest fire in the background. This one is 4 hornbills of Namiri, and owls overall I love a lot, and this one specifically I love its eyes and the way it looks. And Thor also, I think both of them are independently the king of rocks and Aravali overall, but then I think they coexist each other and they support each other. So yeah, they have their own kingdoms, but then yes, they coexist peacefully. The singing sequence, the duet which they do. And this time I also wanted to paint the takeoff scene. So this is basically a bit rarer to see, but Bharatpur I saw it. So this whole thing is Bharatpur only. Although I've rendered it in a bit semi-abstract manner. So yeah, the whole, because I just wanted the focus to be on the saras and the way it takes off, because it's also very impressive given the size. Even vulture takeoff is very interesting. So one day I'll paint that also, because vultures also now I actually also want to paint the vultures taking off, because vultures is very interesting. I saw them in Jordi very closely. So they have a very heavy wingspan. So they properly have a runway. These ones, the other birds, they just take off like that. But if you see, specifically griffon and Cinereus vultures, they're huge. So they I think even we probably humans got inspiration from that only, that they will actually run a certain distance before they take off. So the whole process is very interesting. So I want to capture the whole sequence, how they run and then they take off. So that it is almost like an airplane flying, because they have a proper runway before that. So it's pink by evening. So I find that very fascinating, that how it changes color during the day. This one is the true Ashoka, which is called Sita Ashok, and I love its flower. Again, I don't know why the British preferred the false Ashoka, which is heavily planted as an avenue tree, I think all over India practically, and this one is hardly there. So this one, I found some in Maharashtra, that's where I painted it. Delhi, I think you have very few specimens of Sita Ashok. But I think Sita Ashok is very fascinating. I love the flower itself is very stunning. It's like a bright red flower and huge. It's almost like, Ixora flowers. I think that's the closest comparison. But very beautiful flowers. This one is Aal tree from Aravali's. Again, a very subdued tree, and again a very small whitish flower. But the fruit I found very interesting. Like it almost looks like
Sharifa.
Sharifa, Sitapal, whatever that, custard apple. So, but like very smaller version of the custard apple. Fascinating because they are passage migrants in Delhi. They just, I think, are spotted in the months of April, March, April, and that's where typically the shehtoot is also fruiting. And I've seen them eat the shehtoot behind our house. So that's how, as in, I always associate shehtoot with Rosie Starling and vice versa. From Dudhwa, so there again because of shrinking habitats and growing population of tigers and leopards, they are using the sugarcane fields to give birth to their young ones. So this is it's leading to wildlife conflict again. But yeah, I sort of find it interesting also how they are adapting to use the sugarcane fields for this purpose. I saw this in Nameri. So Nameri doesn't have a jeep safari, it has a walking safari. So walking, we were actually waiting for the white-winged Buddha coney in one of the wetlands, and so we had to wait for twilight for it to appear. So, but before they appeared, the elephant herd appeared. But the interesting part about the elephant herd was that before the herd appeared, this young guy, Tusker, he used to come and test the waters first. So I think I'm not sure what was the dynamics, that it has just been ousted from the herd or it is about to be ousted from the herd, because it used to come just 15 minutes before the herd, have a dip, go away, and then the herd used to follow. So and like hence as in I painted him like that because it looked that he's very happy, like it had a very happy expression, and also the eyes are very naughty, like it has that typical that teenage juvenile vibe that he had, like he was very happy, just bouncing about and dipping itself in the water and stuff like that, and it'll do that nicely, and then the herd will appear. So yeah, the communication is amazing, that how he has to vacate the scene before the herd comes, like they will not overlap. So as in, I think that's what, like it's probably just been ousted from the herd, but it's still maintaining the close distance itself, and it tells them that yeah, everything is clear and you can come and take a dip. Because there were two young babies in the herd, I think, so they wanted to protect those guys. That's my assumption, but yeah, I think it was interesting to observe this guy do that. I think for 3 days we did that, but then we checked with the forest department. So they said, yeah, this guy's been doing that for, I think, 2-3 months now. So for this exhibition only, because I wanted to keep this sepia theme. So this one is the black buck fight, and this one also black buck jumping. These two are from Tal Chapar, and the black buck fight again I find very interesting because this happens just way there during the breeding time. I think you spot these beautiful guys in locking their horns next to each other, and the jump is amazingly stunning. The way it actually jumps is something which impresses me a lot. Like I mean, any deer for that matter, the jump is amazing, but this antelope is very, very impressive, because I think it jumps quite high and it does that. So
Golden langur?
golden langur, pygmy hawk, and snow leopard I haven't seen, but then I really love them and I find them very fascinating. So then I just captured these guys here. So it's kind of manifesting that I might see them someday. Although pygmy hawk is very difficult to see because it's only found in Manas probably, like, but they also, yeah, they have breeding center somewhere, and they breed it there and then they release it in the wild. But wild, they're not able to track whether it's still there or it's not there, because it's too small and the camera traps that they're putting are tiger height. So this one, and nature, the foliage is very dense. So they are not able to actually say that they're still there in the forest, and no one actually has been able to track them also. So camera trap may be, I mean, it's very difficult to get them there. So they have to probably place cameras at a very low height, which is very difficult because everything is done as per tigers. That's the challenge. So otters I love because of the whole, group thing that they have, and yeah, the way they.
Where did you see them?
Dudhwa. I've seen them in other places also, but yeah, in Dudhwa I saw them nicely and closely, and yeah, that's what like mostly them sharing the fish also, and then yeah, when they walk back, the leader will look back and see that the group is in line, etc. So it's very fascinating that the whole group support that they have for each other. And rhinos, I saw them in Kaziranga also. Rhinos are fantastic creatures. I also have to paint a rhino and cub. I saw them. So rhino and cub I saw at Dudhwa also and at Kaziranga also. But yeah, they're amazing creatures. And pangolin of course. Pangolin and red panda.
And snow leopard.
Snow leopard I haven't seen. Snow leopard, that's what I'm trying to manifest. I'll see it someday.
Sure, you will.
Most of them around the wetlands, they usually occupying all the trees there. But this one, I saw this whole sequence of its dive in Kaziranga. So it actually caught the fish and then it was sitting and eating next to the water body only. And the whole dive, it catching the fish is very, very impressive because so again, it's almost like Kingfisher does a straight dive. This one observes it from a distance. It's an angled flight, but it's so accurate that they hit the fish and pick it up in like in a fraction of a second and then fly off. So it's accurate. Its accuracy is crazy. So yeah, I mean, Kingfisher I can still understand because it's like it hovers over it and just dives straight down and picks it up and goes. But this one actually comes at an angle from far away. It's usually at a height, but yeah, from that height you can see the fish and it actually dives like at an angle, just goes there, like it touches the water for yeah, probably a fraction of a second, grabs the fish and flies off. Like, and before the fish knows what hits it, it's gone. Like, so yeah, brilliant accuracy this guy has. So very fascinating. So in Kaziranga, we also saw a pair. So I think the male probably hunted a fish and then it went to the female, and then it gave the female the fish to eat. So yeah, I think again close to the breeding season. So these are the falcons of India. So this one I did for WWF, and these were used for the ID brochure of falcons there. These are the barbets. So it's my purpose of the barbet is found in Delhi, or most of India. And the other two are the Himalayan barbets. So that's the Great Barbet and the Blue-throated Barbet. So these are ceramic plates which I had brought from Pooja. Because they are unfinished ceramic plates. And then, yeah, I just wanted to give this kind of treatment. So these two are ficus trees. Because typically, you see barbets eating ficus fruits only. And proper swing bar which says yeah, stuffing these, 3, 4 fruits in smoke, and I find that was very fascinating. That it just stuffs it in and then eats them. And this one typically plays around with the food before eating. So yeah, that's how I have depicted these both. Great Barbet, I just love the total range. It's a non-becoming who was played with football. I mean, and we mostly there they have this custom wherein the oldest in the family is just given away to become a monk, and yeah, he doesn't really is not aware of the life which has been chosen for him. So yeah, like we spoke to him and he just knew, he just wanted to play basically. So that is what I said. I think all they want to do all the day is play football, and so I have drawn the football there and the monk and the door behind him, which is closed for many other ways of life, so that has been closed for him. And I added these two long tail mini nuts because those were on my wish list for Ladakh. I didn't see them, but again, as in I put them here, that probably I get to manifest them and see them someday. So these are again some botanical works which I tried to do. So this is the almond tree, the leaves, the fruits and the flowers. So this is again, I did it in 2020. This is grown as a venue tree in Bombay is somehow like very like it's very common. So this is actually I think not probably the original almond tree, but this is the one which is cultivated widely there. So this one is the Tembusu tree, which again I find fascinating by the look that it has. And this is the red beet or the coral tree, which we call, and the seeds rati in I think Hindi, which we use for weights and everything else. So yes, so
I thought that's a creeper.
oh, there's a creeper form of this only. I think the same family. This one is a tree. So but how seeds are very similar. So seeds ऐसे होते हैं. तो I think but then इसको वो ये this is more common in the south. I think rati is more common. The creeper
Himachal also.
Himachal also.
Plenty of
The tree
creepers.
या फिर creeper?
Creeper.
हाँ वो I think north में creeper common है, south में पेड़ common है. तो ये मैंने south में देखा था. तो south में they have this tree. So but yeah, I mean they call that also. I think common name का issue यही हो जाता है कि sometimes that you don't know that is it the same thing or not, because they call this also rati only, whatever. So or similar to rati. Yeah, here we have that creeper which grows and we call that rati. So yeah, but it looked the same only, so that's what I assumed he was saying with a similar tree here, but yeah, I could be wrong. So yeah, these are changeable hawk eagle and crested hawk eagle. So I anyhow love raptors a lot. So these are two raptors that I included here, and this is Jacobin cuckoo, this is emerald cuckoo. So both of them again. I mean, I just included two cuckoos from. I have a lot of these watercolor birds in my files. I just picked up these two to